welcome to Pod Against Evil. Oh boy, it is the final one. The final countdown has arrived, Travis, at least for Season 2.
Right.
It is exciting, for sure. In fact, we even have a really different show, really, I feel like, for today. It's going to be a little more of a somber tone while we lead into Season 3. But I'm up for it. And who's talking in the somber tones? Why, it's me, Nick, the Merc with a Mic, and my fellow apologist,
Travis,
the god of the pod himself. And, of course, we have the dedicated Les Weiler Skyping in from Florida, some random times of some place called Florida to me. I don't know where this is. Sounds like some sort of demon hellscape. I don't know. Les, where are you?
It's some kind of weird, like, skin tag kind of thing hanging off the edge of the United States. I don't really know what's going on here. The beach is nice, though.
Yeah,
you just kind of, like, flick it off the map.
Beach is
be
nice.
Like, eh.
I like that. And, guys, we are here to talk about the Season 2 finale of Stand Against Evil. Things are coming to a head here, and we're going into Season 3. Things feel like the stakes are being raised. So, without further ado, should we just get into the episode, guys?
Let's do it.
Okay, so this one starts off, I think it might be one of the few that actually does not start off on a flashback.
No, it starts off right where we left off.
Oh yeah. I mean...
So I guess technically that's a flashback?
Well, well, I mean, we saw a little bit in the previous run, like the previous closer for the episode of Stan digging up his wife's grave, but he gets come upon by Evie, and apparently Kevin is also there, which leads me to go, Kevin, don't you go home? Like,
I'm pretty sure he has like a shack on the cemetery site.
Well, and yes, that's a thing. So the big cemetery in my hometown has it's not a parsonage, but I'm sure there's a term for it, but like there's a caretaker house for the cemetery custodian, and they lived on the property.
See? Oh, okay. Shoot my theory down. All right, you know what? Good on you, Kevin. You're dedicated to your work.
A little too dedicated sometimes.
Or did you ever see Rupert Everett in Cemetery Man? I think he lived there.
You know what? I'll leave it to you guys. You guys obviously know more about cemetery work than me. I won't question why. I'll just leave it up to my imagination.
Good. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. If you get into the specialized ditch digging careers, they come with room and board.
Specialized
and dental. Oddly enough, I don't ask where the teeth come from, but
dental.
Yeah, there's a lot of teeth.
Unbelievably great.
It's a selection of teeth that I have not had at another job.
Oh boy, this is concerning. So Evie comes up onto the grave, and she, of course, she has this realization of of him digging up the wife's grave. It's like, what are you doing? Oh man, don't tell me I think you're doing what I think you're doing. And I feel like she's a little slow on the uptake here, because it's like once you see Stan is like in the graveyard, you shouldn't like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're doing. I
think it was more for her, just the surprise that he's digging up his wife's grave to, gouge out her eyeballs.
Yeah, I assumed it was more of a like I know what you're planning to do, but you can't really be planning to do that, right? Because I kind of enjoy that. Like nobody walks up with like, oh my god, why are you in the graveyard? People walk up with like it's Willard's Mill, like, oh, you're digging up a corpse for the eyeballs to do the time travel thing? No.
So, yeah, what a dark opener of, in order to save his wife, he's got to dig up his wife's corpse and gouge her eyes out.
I mean, in the end, as long as it works, who cares?
I mean, even if it did work 100%, you'd figure that at least give you nightmares.
Yeah.
Like, yikes. And yeah, that's our opening, and kind of sets the tone for this episode, guys, because this episode... not full of laughs.
No, not super funny.
Kind of a downer. A very, very intense episode here, guys. So buckle up, because we are only partway through this. So they walk towards the time travel cabin, which I'm pretty sure has a name, but I'm just going to call it the time travel cabin.
Sure that's what they call
it.
They
call it the time travel. Yeah, Evie calls it the time travel cabin.
Oh, okay, that's where I'm getting it from then. Okay, time travel cabin. And Evie comes up and is like, no, I was different. Claire was died of natural causes. You're upsetting the natural order of things.
Nothing that has happened since Claire died has been natural. Nothing.
which is like his life has been completely upended, and he's being honest about it for the first time with anybody, which is really cool. And John C. McGinley, wow, he's doing a fucking fantastic job this episode, guys.
No,
This
This is the-
whole Oh, go ahead, Trav.
No, yeah, go
Yeah,
try.
this is the part in the series where I'm just like, both these characters are kind of like both admitting to each other that, yeah, we're in over our heads right now,
Yeah,
and this
yeah,
has been a lot for both of them.
This moment is great because they both portray this sense of like they're both so lost in the
Yeah.
moment, and they just don't know. Like they know that they shouldn't do this, but Stan brings up the one thing that he knows that'll let Evie sympathize with him, is that like, what if it was your daughter, or whoever you care about most? Maybe your daughter's a dick, because he's still got to be Stan about it. And I love that Evie's like,
No, she's all right.
like,
Yeah.
and she's like, well, like, what if I forget the daughter's name now.
Grace.
Grace, yes. And what if it was Grace, and Grace was taken away from you, and you found the one way to get her back? Like, what would stop you? And she's like, damn it.
How
Damn
dare you use logic and emotion against me?
Damn you, Stan.
She does everything short of then like shoving him into the time travel cabin, basically. Like, well,
Right.
go ahead. This episode, I wish they'd spent more time on Gracie in the show, because it would have made that moment a little more impactful. Because it took me a minute to remember, like, oh yeah, you have a daughter. We've talked about this before. Your daughter kind of comes and goes.
Well, the established thing is that every time they bring up Grace, we all have to remember, that's right, she has a
That's
daughter.
right. She has a daughter. Exactly.
It's never really. It's one of those things in the show where obviously they don't want to constantly have the little girl in danger and that be the runner of the episode. But it also makes it to where like it's pretty inconsistent as to how often we think about the daughter.
Yeah.
I really think there could have been some great Denise and Grace B plots, though.
That could be
wow,
fun.
that actually is a good idea, because like Grace and Denise would be on such a similar.
Hey, don't insult Grace right
I think
now.
Grace would be the brains of the operation.
Grace could feed herself.
Right? I think it'd just be like, that's like, oh, do you want a babysitting job? Sure, Mom, I'll go babysit
I'll go
Denise.
babysit Denise.
Yeah, Denise falls behind. Noff.
Oh my god, yeah, this would have been great. Like, there's some stuff to mine here. Maybe for season 3 we can get
sure.
it. That's some good stuff right there.
Oh man, the Denise Grace, like, well, we'll get to it, but like where they might be in season 3 would just be an awesome, like.
I have some theories.
Yes.
If you don't think we're getting into theories, we're fucking getting into theories by the end of this, okay, guys?
But the performance from John C. McGinley about missing his wife here, and the tenderness between him and the actress that plays Claire when we see her in flashbacks, is amazing through this whole episode, and it kind of snuck up on me. Like, this show is such a bouncy monster of the week, with them every once in a while remembering, like, oh yeah, we live in a cursed town, but they treat it like we live in a normal world, with this cursed town crap keeps dropping in every once in a while. This episode, they're out of bounds. They are completely off the reservation on this, like, oh, that's a terrible turn of phrase. Sorry.
It's I think we mentioned it a couple times of how John C. McGinley is really pulling his weight in this show, but I don't think we ever stress how much like John C. McGinley is the fucking man in this episode. Like, he is bringing it 110%. He's given a fucking Emmy worth of a
there's
performance.
Sad toughness, and I have to do it. Even his laughter has a tenderness to it of like it's like you suddenly remember, like, oh wait, I have quietly in the background of this goofy little show grown to love all these characters, and I want to see. You really feel for it. Like, it's there when you need it to be. When he says he needs to go back and do this, and Evie steps aside, I was right there with her of like, oh, both of y'all know what's up. Both of y'all know the score.
When he says, I forget exactly the wording, but like, I need to go do this, and like nothing since Claire's died has been natural, and like he just breaks down. It's like, you just man, I believe you 100% in this moment. You selling it. And later when we actually get to see him interact with his wife for a little bit, he sells that moment even harder. Like, we finally get to see them together, and it feels so natural. It feels so real. You know what I mean?
It feels like Claire has been around for a while.
Yeah.
And just like, oh wow, this fits perfectly.
It does not feel in any way like these two characters are first meeting each other whatsoever. Like these two actors, even though this is the first time they spent almost any significant amount of time with each other, except for the one episode in season 1 during the hallucination dream sequence.
And actually, very similar too with later on in the episode where Evie does meet Claire. Like Claire acts like, "What are you doing here, Evie? Why are you at my house?" type of thing. Like very much like, I've known you this whole like past year. Why are you? What's going on?
Yeah.
Classic time
I
travel stuff.
I love John C. McGinley's like admission or Stan's admission of not knowing what's going to happen. Like when Evie's a little bit tearful and saying like, "Well, will I remember you?" It's like he just fully admit, I don't know. Look, I don't know. Which I thought was so tender and honest and sad. Like he realizes like, yeah, that bums me out too. I can't do anything about it. And that combined with the elbow bump door open that
I
he does
loved
to
it.
the time travel cabin, which that's just McGinley killing it in performance. That was so good.
McGinley has a great physicality to his performance, like all of his performances.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's why he was, I mean, we forget, but he was actually employed earlier in his career as like a heavy in like stuff like Platoon and even The Rock, where he's this military heavy guy. And I think he got cast like that because he is a big, more muscular man. And he has this physicality about him that he can just sell it to a certain point. Like when he looks defeated in the earlier episodes, like when he looks sad and like slouched over, he really sells that where he's like a sad, pathetic man. But here where he's going to save his wife and he does that thing with the elbow to the door, he's like a fucking man on a mission. And you want to like, I don't know, I wanted to raise my fist up in the air like, fuck yeah, go get him, Stan.
Yep.
In
Officer Muldoon.
That's a good one. And I love that Evie is also like, I hope I remember you. Like I think I'll remember you too. And Stan even writes like his number, I think, on her hand.
On her hand. Yep.
It's like, do you think we like? I love that they're not even sure how the time travel rules work anymore. Of like, well, maybe you'll remember me. I don't really know. Like we seem to have like fucked the timeline so much that anything seems up for grabs. And even I love where Stan is like, well, I think I'll remember you even if it's just a nagging voice in the back of my head. Kind of, and it works on both levels because it's him making fun of her a little bit, but also that's exactly what happened in the season 2 premiere of him remembering her in the previous timeline. So there's just a lot going on in the scene that is just really, really top notch.
Right, and I do love the whole line too. It's like you might just wake up in your bed and not remember any of this, and you might just go on with your life, type of thing.
Yeah, it's funny because they almost have to grieve a relationship that they might like. Oh man, I have to take my chance to grieve it now because I might not even have a chance later.
I was a little worried that he was going to walk through the door and then nothing was going to happen, because I'd be like, that'd be funny, but it would kind of ruin everything else that happened before that.
No, that you don't undercut the moment with a joke. Like you don't you leave that moment stand. I liked the decision there. I like all the decisions in this episode, to be completely honest, guys. Like by no means is it like their funniest episode, but I think it's like one of their straight up best.
No, their choices to not cut this with jokes was really impressive. Like it keeps a tense third act feeling through the whole episode.
And it takes a surprising amount of restraint too to not go for to lean on the jokes to
fall back into what you're used to.
Right. And to really sell this on the moment, because the show has confidence in Stan and Evie and their relationship and the main characters, and that confidence is well placed. I'll tell you what, man. I'm sorry, I know I'm just gushing about that, but this episode is fucking awesome, guys.
It's a really strong episode.
It's great.
Well, it pays off a lot of stuff I like about the first 2 seasons in what is generally a lighthearted show. It pays it all off really well, but it also, when we'll get to it at the end, but it changes the setup of the show going into season 3 in a way that excites me for season 3 more than just, oh cool, more of 2. Which I would have been fine with, just more of season 2. But I like the paradigm shift that this episode brings, and I also like the confidence they show in letting this season finale play like this and feel like this. It gives me a little more hope that they might get real weird with it in season 3. Like, I really don't know what they might do with their new setup where this leaves us.
Yeah, it feels very chancy, and I like it. It makes it feel like the show has a set of balls that they're willing to do a little bit more.
And that they might be kind of maybe veering away, at least for the first couple episodes of the Monster of the Week plot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They may. It also wouldn't surprise me if season 3 started with a complete reboot. You know,
Oh yeah,
like if they just threw me a curve and were like, we're going to resolve that shit in the opening credits of season 3.
And that's possible.
sure. I
honestly don't know, but
yeah, but we'll get to when we get, because we got to. Man, we're barely in the opening 5 minutes.
Right. This could be longer than the actual episode, I think.
Our time, well, they're all longer than the actual
Yeah, that's fair.
episodes. Like, it only questions by how much longer.
Yeah,
this one
we might be able to watch
though.
like 3.
This episode moves super fast. Like, it is, like, you'd think it might move slower because they don't keep the joke quip thing up a lot, but it rockets by.
No, it's got a story to tell, and it's got to do it in like the 20 minutes, so.
I think that's great. I think it keeps it tight. And, you know, the next scene we open up on is Evie waking up in her bed. I love the shirt that she's wearing.
yes.
If I could, I've changed my mind on the one piece of merch that I wanted. I always wanted the Pony Needs Blood t-shirt from Stan Against Evil. I've changed my mind. I want divorced female sheriff.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to wear a divorced female sheriff shirt.
Although that is actually basically the first indication that something's wrong, because she probably wouldn't have that shirt.
Oh, no, yeah. Like, she, or at least she wouldn't be in the same, she probably recognizes her own bed, like, wait, this is my Willard's Mill bed, you know. But yeah, I love that not only did the prop department make a fake magazine for divorced female sheriff, they made a fake t-shirt for it too. Mm-hmm. Like, they have fake merch for this fake magazine.
This is clearly a very in thing in this universe.
That's amazing. I love that. That's hilarious. Oh, man. And so she calls the sheriff's office has Drinkwater pick up. No phone voice this episode. I guess it would have been out of tone. A little too funny.
It really would have been. You know, I didn't even notice it missing, and I still stand by my statement that they need to go back and put it in every previous episode.
But on this episode,
on this episode,
maybe on the
they
weekend
can
I'm
leave it
not doing anything. I'll make my own fan cut.
Yes,
the phone voice edition. Screw you, Lucas. This is how you do it right.
But Evie does. I think I didn't notice it missing because Evie does such a ridiculously goofy voice.
She does her own voice.
She has this British accent that is ridiculous.
Sheriff's Department, Deputy Drinkwater speaking.
Yes, hello, old boy. I was just wondering if you could tell me the name of the sheriff you have working there. Is it Stan Muller?
Evie? Is that you?
Which is funny because I have seen Janet does a pretty good Elizabeth Hurley impression.
Huh.
And I've seen her
right.
And I've seen her do it for stuff like voice actor script reads. So it's funny that she has to do a bad British accent,
right.
Yes.
which is just all kinds of great. And then I love that even Drinkwater can go like, Evie, is that you? Nothing.
Just hangs up.
And she just calls back like, yeah, it's me. Am I still the sheriff? Yeah.
I don't know. Am I still
the deputy? Yeah, I guess so. Well, good. That explains this
it.
cop-like mustache.
Not cop mustache. Cop-like.
Yes.
Cop-like mustache.
Cop-ish.
Well,
what was it? I can still smell that sandwich. I think it's his parting shot of like, I know I still have the mustache because I can still smell that sandwich. Like,
oh, Leon.
Oh man, that's so great. Cop-like, it's like 70% cop, maybe like 20% child molester,
We might be giving him a unfair percentages there,
and
but
just 10% Burt Reynolds. Like just 10%, just a little dash of Burt in there. Like that's what the kind of mustache we're rocking with.
But again, this once again establishes something went wrong.
Yeah, because obviously Stan is no longer the sheriff, but that could mean many things. We don't know what.
Yeah, it
what
could mean nothing happened.
His destruction of the timeline. Just disregard.
But then where's Stan? Yeah, what's up here?
And so she goes over to Stan's place, and who opens the door but Claire? And she goes, "Oh boy, see, he did save you." Well, so it's interesting because I realize this is the first time Evie has met or even seen Claire.
Yeah, she only knows her basically through pictures. Other than this,
I was thinking that too. Of like, you've got to take a moment and be like, "Oh yeah, the photo from the funeral," or she wasn't at the funeral, but like she's got to only know her from family photos and stuff, and maybe some. Have there been weird time hallucination type? Has Evie seen her in a flashback or something?
I think so, but
Stan usually has seen her in a hallucination. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
But Evie has not really seen her in the hallucinations at all. At least from what I remember.
Yeah, because I did notice to see if her reaction was more of a blind guess of like, woman in Stan's house gonna say Claire. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she kind of recognized her, but it just takes her a minute, sort of thing. And she asks where Stan is, and Claire breaks the news to her like, "I'm sorry, Stan is dead. He's been dead for a year."
That was a oh shit moment, and Evie agrees.
This next scene is basically just I picture that whoever was directing this episode, I could look it up here. I think it was it Jack Bishop for this one? Anyway, I feel like her direction was just like, okay, Janet, just say shit like a bunch. What do you mean like a bunch? Just a lot.
Just keep going.
Just keep going. We'll record like
we'll take what we need.
We'll just film like 20 to 30 minutes of you saying shit, and we'll take the best like 30 seconds from it.
Shit. 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 Oh shit. Shit. Shit.
I'm sorry, Evie. I couldn't help noticing you've been standing on my porch for the last hour saying shit over and over again.
To be fair, I had that same exact reaction. I'm like, well, now what?
Yeah, I love Claire comes out too is like, I'm sorry, I couldn't help but notice you've been out on my porch saying shit for a very long time.
For an hour.
For an hour. Yep. Just
why don't you come inside, dear?
I get the sense that you are upset.
Shocking.
Call it a
mother's intuition.
Yeah, just also Susan Williams killing it as Claire in this episode. Mm-hmm. Really giving that mysterious like old woman Buffy backstory thing going on.
Honestly, she is such her own vibe in this. Like, she doesn't show up and act like another character, but she feels of a piece with Willard's Mill. She clicks with Stan immediately. Like, she does an amazing job of showing up for this one episode and making me feel like if she were to be just part of the cast, I didn't know where it was going to go this episode, but like, if it had turned out that like, oh, this is just the new paradigm, Dawn's in Buffy now, tough, she'd have fit perfectly.
Yeah, except
like she strikes her own chord, in the show. Like, she's this calm, like, look, I know you guys' MO is to freak out and react every week when something weird shows up, but I know weird stuff showing up every week. Like, this is my day job. Mm-hmm. And so she has this calm, like, it's sad, Stan's dead. I have to go up to my room and get the, magical garden trowel and go do a thing. Like, it's just her job. Mm-hmm. I would have been fine if she was like, as soon as she showed up and I thought, I didn't have a dread of like, shit, new character. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, cool, this is where we are now. Like, she's our new Stan. This could be fun.
Right. I got to imagine Susan Williams and John C. McGinley must have spent some time together offset or something, because their chemistry is electric in the episode, and I have a hard time believing that was like they're like just on the set like, oh, okay, nice to meet you again, Susan. Right. Like, it's been like a year and a half or so since shooting together. All right, you want to hit this scene? Okay, yeah, like that. I don't feel like that. Like, you don't get magic like that without some like previous setup or something. Like, there was some maybe some other like maybe just hanging out together just to get reacquainted sort of thing, because they're just perfect. They feel like they fit together. They are of one piece sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And I like that I like that Claire tries to gaslight Evie. Like
I have
like,
no idea what you're talking about, honey.
Which I love, like, oh, so because Evie knows all this shit, and it's just like, I don't really know. It's like, okay, yeah, you can cut the bullshit, lady. Like, there's no way you're gonna convince me, like, after the year I've had, that this is all in my head. All right.
And I actually found that scene really interesting because, like, Evie was pretty calm around her. She was actually trying to, like, she's treating her very gently. Like, I don't know what the situation is. I'm going to be, like, really nice to this lady. Then she gets to that point, like, okay, fuck this shit. I'm done.
Yeah. So I mean, I really like their back and forth here. Denise comes in for basically her only moment in the episode.
Because Denise has to show up, I mean.
Right. Well, we can't get it out of here without Deborah Baker Jr. in a little bit. She runs in with a giant, with a trombone.
Mom, I just perfected Diamond Dogs. Do you want to hear?
Oh, no. It's not a great time, Denise. Why don't you go upstairs and keep practicing Diamond Dogs?
But I just perfected it.
Then learn Suffragette City.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't need to go practice it. It's perfected. Edie's responsible. Go learn Suffragette City.
That was great. I love that she has a media comeback, like, go learn Suffragette City. And it's like, wow, that was an immediate, like, did you...
And there's no argument.
Yeah, she's just like, oh, okay.
Denise has to, like, oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah. I just love that it was an unexpected, like, really quick back and forth with Evie and her. It's like, Evie must have been in band at some point or something.
Yes. And I don't care who does it, but I really want a Stand Against Evil YouTube channel of trombone covers of Bowie. Like, Denise should have a SoundCloud that they put out.
That'd be amazing.
Denise SoundCloud. Oh,
dude, there's some high school kid, like, there's somebody somewhere that's already recorded a bunch of, like, David Bowie for solo trombone. Just go find it, attribute it to Denise.
Oh man,
put it on SoundCloud for me.
Oh, that'd be the best. Okay. I forgot where we are. I lost my place. Oh no, I remember. We're at Claire telling the story of how Stan died, because obviously shit has gotten real fucked up because Stan went back in time, and the only thing I can assume is that it operates off of the time travel rules. Is like as soon as you time travel, there's just like unexpected ripples in the timeline. You've already like ripped the fabric of time space. So, like, even before you do anything, shit has changed.
Yep.
Because he shows up, doesn't even reach her the first time. He actually gets killed by Ida. I believe her name was Ida. Yeah, Ida. The one of the demons from the first season, from the Flower episode. And the Claire, while wrapping up the flower business, arrives just in time to see Stan get murdered. And it's just like, what the hell? What are you doing here? Sort of thing. And she does not have a heart attack, which I can only assume, again, time ripples.
Right, because it's like, going back in time wouldn't magically fix her heart, so it has to be like, well, something happened, so because the time rules say only one person can die here, so it's fine.
Well, I love how no one had a plan for when they time traveled back in time.
Yeah, it's fine.
Like, there's... I mean, one could argue you could spend a lot of time planning it, because once you time travel, it's not like that time it's not like that's time wasted. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, they've basically already said like, "Hey, we just need a set of eyeballs to go back in time." So whatever.
Well, even Les's theory of Stan grabbing his old sheriff's uniform, like, oh, to blend in back in time. Like, no, Stan didn't even think about that. It was more like a what do you call it? Like a warrior's garb sort of thing. Of like going back and like you meeting someone on their best day, you want to wear your best suit,
right?
Oh yeah, like his dress blues. If he'd been a Marine, he'd put on his best like dress uniform.
Well, he's also putting back on his clothes, his armor of when things made sense. Yeah. You know.
Yes, exactly. That's a great point.
So it's a whole psychological thing with him too, yeah. So this obviously Evie's like, oh shit. I gotta go back. And, like, she even looks at Claire like she knows that if I go back, you might not make it. And she knows, and then I like that Claire kind of, like, takes a second and then just walks off, and you don't really know what she's gonna do. And she comes back with that little shovel, the trowel, and is like, well, you're gonna need this.
That was a great nonverbal scene for both those characters.
Oh,
They both
so good.
they both came to realize like,
So good.
yeah, if this goes wrong, you're probably dead.
They didn't have to say anything. They just give each other a look of like, again, I feel like it's almost like Claire and Evie have the instant connection that Stan and Evie did. Like, there's just that, respect, especially from two, powerful women sort of thing. And I really liked that scene of just them kind of coming to that realization, and they both are cool with it. And so I love that the scene where Evie is digging up the Stan's grave. Because Kevin is there again. There. And Kevin has this long tirade of, God's plan or something. Like, there's this whole, I forget what he says here, but how churches used to be in charge of burials, and how death was always part of God's plan. And he starts to talk about what Evie's doing, and
also that if you're a serial killer, is it because God made you a serial killer, and that's okay? And it's
which is an odd thing for Kevin to say. Like, it's off-putting.
Yeah. Modern cemeteries came about because the state took away the power of burial from the churches, which honestly, the way he phrases that was super interesting to me. Like, I don't know why it never occurred to me that burial would be a magical power to have over ancient people, whoever got to be in charge of this. But because at the time the church was about determinism, and so whatever you were doing, that's just what God made you to do, whether you like it or not. So if you're a serial killer, oh well, God needed a serial killer. I think when he interrupts it though, he explains that this is his patter for his tour for children.
Yeah, that was weird.
School kids who come to tour cemeteries, which I don't think happens.
I hope it doesn't happen.
But separately, this is your friggin' tour speech. This is Phil Hartman at Alcatraz type.
Well, I mean, I also love that he asks her, are you here of your own free will, or are you here with a part of a grand design that you are only a puppet among?
And that scene is just hilarious because it's fucking Dana Gould basically going I control you.
I do love that it is the writer going
it is a little meta.
Dance for me,
it's
puppet,
great.
dance. And I did have to think to myself, is Kevin God or some sort of angel? Basically. He seems very dead on what's happening right now.
How long? Yeah, has Kevin always been here? What is Kevin's role in what is a very odd town? Why am I assuming Kevin is just a normal schmo making 8 or 12 an hour or some shit?
Oh, what if he's also one of the town protectors and he's undercover?
Yeah, he's got to have a role in the town, or they could write one easily. Or it might honestly be funnier if Kevin genuinely is just a $12 an hour ditch digging schmo.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you think of it in a town where people come back from the dead, a gravekeeper might actually have some kind of symbolic use.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
we're getting way too deep into
this episode. It's worth getting deep into. Okay, it's worth digging in this. So. I love that Evie's kind of you know what? Save your philosophizing. I got eyeballs to gouge out. And so she grabs those eyeballs and she runs to the time travel cabin.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go.
Are the eyeballs used when they go through the cabin?
They seem to be popped.
Oh.
But I don't know. Well, no, he keeps coming up to him with a bag. They're gouged out. They're not popping.
When she sent the Wraith's eyeballs back with... what's her name? Eccles' daughter. Mm-hmm. She managed to put those eyes under the tree, and then they came back afterwards. So
right. So if say Evie were to, I don't know, get arrested and be frisked.
Oh, she has Stan's eyeballs on her.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't actually come up. Just
Luckily,
want to point that out.
Mill, so that may not even register.
Look, the whole time travel plan is not well thought out to begin with.
Just had to bring it up.
No, I mean that's the cherry on. No, that's the eyeball on top of the shit sundae that is her plan. Because I love you, Evie, but what were you thinking?
I don't know. Well, as much as Stan was thinking, to be fair.
Yeah, Stan doesn't have a big grand plan either.
No, and kind of a loose salute and and elbow your way into the time cabin.
I mean, he did look cool. I'll give him that. He looked pretty cool and off the cuff doing it.
Yes.
But in retrospect, maybe instead of doing the cool elbow thing, take a couple extra minutes to like really work through your plan.
Yeah, we only have 20
Get a
minutes.
chalkboard out or something, and do the, at least see if the math works on your fucking time travel plan.
Right. And just,
All right.
I love that Evie just shows up because the cabin just drops you off just seemingly wherever. Like and she drops off in the middle of town, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I got it from here. And suddenly, who should show up but it's Leon Drinkwater.
Yep.
And she goes like, not now, Leon. And I'm like, really, Evie? You're not getting it? You haven't watched one time travel movie? Not one? You didn't watch Back to the Future?
Look, it's just like horror movies. You have to assume that time travel movies don't exist in this universe.
Sure.
But she has personally lived through a Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
Right.
So it feels weird that she would, oh, yeah, that's right, I'm in the past. Like, yes, that was the whole point of traveling into the past. Like, and it's like she has to remember that, like, oh, that's right, no one remembers.
for success here.
It really illustrates how, like, she really, like, she got the eyeballs and went right here and didn't think about that much in between. And she has her sheriff's uniform on, which confuses Drinkwater because, hey, no woman sheriff works here. What are you doing here? Why are you wearing...
And she tries to cover it immediately with like, oh, hello, officer.
Hello.
Like, nope.
And
you already called me Leon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no way, you called me... what, did I?
Leon's
no.
surprisingly smart in this episode, though.
Well, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out, like, well, you don't belong here. I don't know why you have a Willards Mill Sheriff's Department uniform, other than the fact that you must have stolen it. So I don't, but no, that's not what Drinkwater's assumption is.
No, he comes to a conclusion. I mean, and he does the math. Like, you can see the deputy gears turning in the old Drinkwater brain.
It's okay. I know who you are and why you're here.
Wait, you do?
I do. How else would you know my name? Why else would you be dressed like that? You're a stripper!
From the future, what?
Who hired you, Gordy, that son of a bitch?
No!
Oh, let me guess, you're really just a student.
Who are these alleged friends he names who might have hired him as stripper?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but at the same time, like, Evie's trying to go like, I'm a time traveler, and his response is stripper. I'm like, no, his does make more sense.
His makes way more sense.
Way more sense.
Like, I mean, I don't mean to side with Drinkwater, but like, it's shocking that Evie is like, oh, he gets that I'm from the future. Like, why would you think that?
It's Drinkwater.
Like, why would any rational human being think
brownies
that?
have worn off. He does not think that.
It was just really funny and then she, of course, is offended and punches him directly in the nose, which cuts to the scene later where she's being arrested because she's assaulted a police officer.
While impersonating a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great line.
That's a new one.
That was a great line.
Which I love that Drinkwater has the wherewithal to be shitty even with a broken nose of just being quick with the quips there.
If there's one thing Leon Drinkwater knows, it's how to handle an uncooperative stripper.
Also, how did she... I mean, I don't mean to nitpick this either, but how did he subdue Evie? Especially after the sucker punch.
All I can think is he must have drawn down on her. Is all I can think. He must have beat her to the draw or something.
Yeah. Because we've seen him.
Like,
he is not very good in a fight.
No. In a fist fight, Evie would kick the crap out of Drinkwater in a fist fight.
Right. Like if it had shown her with like teary eyes, like she just got pepper sprayed, maybe I would have believed it more then. But her just being subdued, I'm like, I don't know if I believe this. Like I have a hard time believing Drinkwater can subdue a toddler.
I'm actually hard to believe that Evie wouldn't be able to just knock him out with that punch, to be honest.
Right.
I'm amazed. Like, it's almost more believable that she stood there waiting for him to wake up and then presented her hands to be cuffed. Honestly.
Yeah, like
because I kind of wondered that too. Of like, how did you lose this fight unless you stopped and went, "Oh shit, my bad."
Yep. Right. Like it.
But it's kind of a moot point in a minute because what is her name? Is it Ida?
Ida, yeah.
Ida Putnam. Ida Putnam shows up, looking a little rough.
Yeah, her character design is slightly different than in season 1. She's a little more like, I think their dress is different, and she's a little more like veiny and jaggedy. I think.
A little toothy.
Yeah, her teeth are actually like she's like part shark now, apparently. I actually like this look. Like, it's very intense.
Oh, she looks great. It's a good-looking monster, honestly. I really dig Ida Putnam's design of this.
And I'm pretty sure this is our friend, I think Mick Ignis is playing that. I'm going to double-check that because I'm not sure, but...
It's D.L. Anderson.
Oh, okay, so I was wrong. I think he played... I think Mick actually played Ida in the first season. This must be different episode. So, great creature design, great movement, great fight later, great fight choreography. So this was, surprisingly enough, going back to an old foe for the season 2 finale. Doesn't even feel like much of a retread because we so much focus on the other parts of the episode.
That and his time travel. So
well, yeah,
there's that.
Uh-huh.
Although we didn't even talk about what happens with Ida in this scene.
Oh yeah. So Drinkwater is like telling Evie off of like, I can't believe you punched me, this sort of thing, and then all of a sudden Ida shows up, grabs him by the head, rips him out of the police car, proceeds to tear Drinkwater's head off in the most glorious of gory death scenes.
Yes.
So that was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if Nate Mooney, he must have had like a whole model of his head just made because it really looks like his head is on the floor. Like, it's a really great model head. Like, I mean, at a certain point, I really hope they let Nate Mooney keep that head.
I always wondered that. Like, I mean, I know sometimes it's got to depend on the show and what happens to the thing, but like, I would think that's something that you would keep, and
well, I figure
then for the rest of your life, your significant other or spouse would be constantly like, that can't be out in this room.
Turn that head around.
Put that away.
I would be like, no, fuck it. This was my highlight of the best moment of my life, getting my head ripped off. This is in the center. This is center stage in the living room.
This is a centerpiece on the kitchen table.
Until I get my Emmy.
It's the fucking centerpiece. Yeah, once I get my Emmy, that will replace it. But until then, it's severed head.
And then it's just going to be a great Halloween prop.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Well, I saw on Deborah Baker Jr.'s Instagram, where she took over Instagram, I think, for the 4th of July or something, when they were shooting, I think, or when they were still shooting Standing Against Evil for the last week, whenever that was. She had Nate Mooney's severed head, and she was just playing with it.
Nice.
So I feel like, they must have done a lot of sculpting work around his face too, in order to get that look as well. So I feel like if you go through all that hell to get your sculpted severed head, I think you should get to keep it.
Yeah,
I think it's the only fair. I mean, what else are they going to use it for? Like, it looks so much like him, it can't look like anyone else.
I mean, you've already made it, so
yeah.
I'm trying to remember what show it was that they got in trouble for, if it was Game of Thrones season 1 or it was Rome. Where they reused, they needed a bunch of heads on pikes, right? And so when they went to props, like instead of sculpting a ton of human heads, like they pulled, they pulled new molds from masks. And I want to say one of the ones they pulled was George W. Bush.
Nice.
And people flipped.
That's awesome.
Like,
I remember this now.
And the prop people were like, he meant nothing by that. Like, we had a week to make 50 heads, and we already had molds of famous people.
If for real wasn't a political statement.
We just ran out of
yeah,
time.
like, we're sorry you have a 4K TV.
But then again, it is the show Rome, and he's a political. It was kind of a happy accident when you think about it. Like,
oh, that show had a lot of those. I mean, Rome burned. Their whole set burned.
I know how sad is that? Like,
yeah. Anyway,
also kind of fitting in an ironic way. But...
I know, right? Like, it's so creepy. We're not talking about Rome. We'll do a Rome podcast at some point. But until then, we'll talk about Standing Against Evil.
All right.
So yeah, Leon is fucked, guys. He's dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, he's not coming back.
Like, someone should probably gouge his eyeballs out right now, because we have to kind of fix this whole shithole.
Yeah, so I want you guys to keep this in the back of your mind for the rest of the episode, because...
Do we need a counter? Leon Drinkwater death counter?
Yeah. Ding! And so I think the next scene we get is after Evie runs off in the car. Or no, she actually does not run off in the car at first. She stands around, tries to get the keys from Leon's body. We have a great shot of his head on the ground, and we see this old man with his dog.
This isn't as bad as it looks. I'm not really a stripper. It's just what he said.
That is indeed what he said.
Which I thought was a great out-of-context line until I heard the next line, which was uttered from the old man, was like,
"That's illegal. Take me home, Pepper."
What? Wait a minute. What? No, roll that back.
What do you think's happening here?
What part of that was illegal? Was it the stripper part, or you mean the beheading the sheriff part? Like, I don't understand what the line, like, what compelled him to say that line. I thought, like, what a weird thing to say.
I mean, for all we know,
there's a lot of possible crimes here. What are you mad about?
Yeah, I'm actually really curious because he seemed mad about something in particular. I don't know why.
Right. For all we know, it's probably just the fact that she's a female in a officer's uniform at this point.
Lady sheriffs, that's illegal.
I also like it. He's like, "Take me home, Pepper."
He's carrying his dog, though. Like,
yeah. So there's a lot to this old guy. Like, there's like, for this guy that never shows up in another scene, there's a lot of questions I have about this guy. Like. Also, wasn't Pepper the name of the fucking dog that turned into a demon in the in the previous night of the?
You might be right.
Wasn't it? Wasn't it? Because I remember it specifically because it's the name of your fucking dog. Like, so I was like, wait a minute. I thought Pepper was a black dog. Like, is this another or is this Pepper before they turned monstrous? And I'm pretty sure Pepper had another owner. Man, I gotta go
There's
back.
so many questions.
Man, this
you
whole...
No, we're gonna chalk this as a time travel ripples and leave it.
We have
to get going.
For some... traveling back in time turned the owner of Pepper into a white old man, which is just weird and out of nowhere. So we see...
Well, actually, wait, no, because this would be when Claire was still alive that this was happening, so did... You know what? No, keep going.
Right, that would be 2 years ago. You know, we can't get into this.
Keep going.
There's just too many questions.
Nick, back in season 1, episode 5, Ouija board, a dog named Pepper.
Yes. Aha! We've cracked it. I don't know what we've cracked.
We haven't cracked anything.
We've cracked something.
Yeah, and I believe Pepper dies. It looks like, one of the flowers eats it. Pepper's the name of the dog that gets eaten. So they've gone back in time. The flowers are opening, right? The portal flowers. In season 1, one of the flowers kills Pepper, I think.
Oh, okay. So now the timeline has changed. Pepper is saved, and now his.
Because Claire's going around killing the flowers. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so in the original timeline, we wouldn't have met Pepper. We would have seen the scene where Pepper's owner screams, "Pepper, no!"
Yes. Okay. Now it's all starting to add up. All right. Oh man, what's our next scene? Stan and Claire have a moment together.
Yep.
I love that Stan interrupts her as she's about to cut the flower off. I'm like, you couldn't wait 30 seconds?
Right.
Like, it's just...
But at the same time, he reveals that he not only, realized what the flowers were for, he remembers the whole backstory of the flowers.
Oh, yeah. He remembers that very specifically.
Yeah.
Like Stan was paying attention that whole time.
And I'm like, okay, cool. But why didn't you wait till she killed the flower, then?
I also have a question of that. Evie has done nothing to change events at this point, but yet Stan makes it farther than he did last time.
Yeah.
My only thing is that Evie showing up must have distracted Ida from the woods that she entered, right?
That could be.
She must have sensed a shift in the time portal and came to investigate Evie rather than stay in the woods by where Stan was. So that's the only thing I can think of why Stan actually got to make it there this time.
That makes sense.
And so that's the theory I'm running with. And then we have this, guys. We have this amazing scene with Claire and Stan here. They're laying it all on the line. I love their little back and forth of like,
what are you sporting there?
It's my cloak.
I didn't even know they made cloaks anymore. Would you say there's a large market for cloaks? Are you the primary client?
This scene, wow, it's so... I don't know, guys. I don't even really have words for it. It's like sad and touching all at the same time because they've never really talked about it on the show, but it's really confirmed here that Claire didn't, like, the timeline is, like, there was a question of whether or not Claire fell in love with Stan and then decided to protect him, or if it was her job to protect the town and thereby Stan, and it was just easier to be with him.
Right.
And it is definitively answered that is the latter.
Right.
Which...
Yeah, she lied about Eastwood so that he'd like her. Like, she
Yes.
She lied to get a relationship going, and then she fell in love with him.
Wow. Yeah, and I'm like, that's a sad, nuanced way to take it for a show like this, and really, again, gutsy. I also like I lied about Eastwood. Like I lied about Eastwood to get you to like me. I do like you. I like you too. Like they don't.
She says I love you.
What's that?
I'm pretty sure she says I love you.
Did she? I have the script here. I can find it. He's like, you love Clint Eastwood. Oh, I only said that to get you to like me more. Last, I do like you. I like you too. Neither one of them says I love you.
I don't think this would work though if McGinley and her didn't have this instant chemistry. They really click on screen.
Yeah,
they're amazing.
I believe
together.
that they've been in love, and the scene is so sad because of everything Stan learned about Claire's real job, and like his appreciation for her doubled in the year after her death, after finding all this out. Mm-hmm. And, all these things he's been oblivious to, and like what she was really doing. So this is really the first time that he's ever gotten to see her really knowing her full sacrifice.
We get to see Stan with his defenses all down, and Claire with her defenses all down, and to see what they're like underneath it all. What they are stripped away from Stan's toxic masculinity and Claire's like mysterious witch hunting past, and we get to see just what's there down deep under the surface. And it's this really quiet, I wouldn't even say like it's this intimate friendship, like a companionship more than anything else. And like even if it started off like without romantic feelings together, they are husband and wife. They're best friends, and like they've been through thick and thin together, and those feelings of love that developed afterwards, those were real, and that was important. And I don't know, man, this scene really sold that to me in a big way. Am I overselling it? What did everybody else think?
No, it's a good scene. Like I do like the fact that it's like our first date. Don't remind me of that. Well, we watched Dirty Harry. That was fun.
Our first date was terrible. Any last minute thoughts on this amazing scene, Les, before we move on?
So this scene closes with Stan making an amazingly salient point. Dirty Harry should have had an orangutan.
Yeah, clearly. That is exactly what she got out of
this. That was some movie, though, huh? That and the orangutan movies, those are his best work. Dirty Harry should have had an orangutan. That'd have been mint.
That would have been mint. Oh man, what a great moment. And then they hear Ida. Stan goes like, "You take care of the flowers. I'm gonna go kill this bitch." And he's like, she'll kill you, Stan. It's like, no, you can't go. You got a bum ticker. And it's like, yeah, you do, but we're gonna fix it. I promise. And and
it never occurred to me, but like that really is a kind of thing of like, that's not an emergency. Go stop somebody from stabbing Claire. Like that's a go back in time and tell Claire like, hey, so Monday you need to make an appointment. Like you may need a stent.
Right.
Yeah.
Like lay off the butter or something. Like
right. Like there's probably some diet restrictions and but yeah, like that's something you can take care of with like a conversation of like, oh hey honey, I came back in time. Also, you got a bad heart.
Right. Man, I love the strip down he does too to go fight Ida. He takes off the jacket, he rips off his tie, he fucking like unbuttons like a couple of his buttons here, and he pulls up the gun, and he's ready for battle. And I'm like, oh man, what a great like entrance there. And he does do battle with Ida. Does not go great for him.
No.
He gets his licks in. But eventually Ida becomes giant, which is a thing she can do apparently.
Yeah, that's her game.
Yeah, it's like, that's your game, huh? Not gonna lie,
now,
it's pretty good.
Did they do that entirely? If I'm remembering correctly, they did that entirely with camera angle.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a downward camera angle making her appear big.
Like the way that Terry Gilliam had the giants in the bit of footage that made it out about Don Quixote, just put the camera at like worm's eye view and point it up at Ida.
Yeah. I
loved it.
I feel like, yeah, that's pretty much all they did. I don't think they had in the budget to do much else than that. I love Stan's line.
They do have her have a magic power here in a minute, so yeah, they had to save it.
Mm-hmm. And I do love that this Stan is like, so that's your game, huh?
That's your game? You become a giant and kick my ass? Pretty good game. Not gonna lie to you.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good
Not
game.
gonna lie.
It's a good game, though.
It reminds me of one of my other favorite films, a classic in and of itself, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, and where Raphael is fighting a bunch of the Foot Clan, and he's just kicking their asses, and he's like, "Come on, guys, how do you really expect to beat me?" And then they just throw about like 100 more dudes come out of nowhere, and he's like, "Okay, good answer, good answer."
Good answer.
And just like, I love the little respect, like, okay, I'm gonna give you that one. I'll give you, that was a good response.
Which Mutant Ninja Turtles movie is that?
That is the first one, my friend. The best one.
I mean, from way back.
Yeah, from the 90s Ninja Turtles.
Yes, okay, that's what I was like first one of the new set, first one of the original set.
Oh no, Jim Henson puppets all the way for me, my friend.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And no Tokor and Razor or Secret of the Ooze or any of that bullshit. And don't even get me started on time traveling with them. Man, we got to do a time travel episode on the Ninja Turtles time movie.
Let's save that for
Oh,
whenever.
it's so bad. What were we talking about? Oh, that's right, Stand Against Evil. Speaking of weird mutant powers, Ida has the ability to poison ivy her enemies, basically.
Yeah, that was weird.
Where she can throw, like, what do you call it? Like roots or vines and something, and like can encase people, like the Evil Dead trees.
Ooh, the Evil Dead tree.
Yeah, I could have picked a better reference.
Man.
Watch out, Stan! Things are about to not go great for you.
I like my flora with more consent.
My consent flora. Oh boy, I forget the exact turn of events here too, because Claire is about to cut off the flower. She looks at her watch mid incantation and to like try and judge how much time she's got.
Yep.
And she goes to save Stan. Arrives just in time to try and help him out. But I don't think she doesn't quite seal the deal. But who should arrive? It's Evie. Evie for the save.
Hey, you're under arrest. I'm just kidding. I'm not the sheriff yet, so I don't have that authority. But I can do this.
Which is a great response, because she just stabs her in both her eyes with the trowel and the fork combo.
Yep.
Which I believe was the same combo they used for the goat demon.
Yep, trowel fork salad combo.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which is a good move, apparently. Apparently it's a good combination weaponry wise. And we get another just devastating scene here.
This is really fucking sad.
Because Claire and Stan have a further moment, but then Evie looks on them and is like, "Oh no, Stan!" And we look down and we see Claire's body, and we realize because it is the night of the combination of the land of the living and the dead, we get to see the spirit after they leave the afterlife for a minute, and it's her saying goodbye to Stan, and it's like it's just really. Really hard. It's like, just, it's between them. It's like, some things you just can't change, honey. I tried so hard, and like, there's this dialogue here is just heartbreaking.
Some things you just can't change.
I've tried so hard.
Of course you did. But we'll have our time again.
You promise?
Do you want me to let you in on a little secret?
Please.
When the minister says, "Till death do you part," don't you believe it?
Claire.
And then they share a final kiss, and Claire disappears, and Stan's like, "I'm ready to go back now." And I found that so just, what a gut punch, because Stan doesn't even go like, "We got to go back and try again." He doesn't go like, "I know how to fix it this time."
No.
I feel like he's just like, I can't do this again.
I'm done. I'm not playing
Yeah,
anymore.
it's like, I feel like it's just like part of him accepting the reality of the situation, and also just like, even if I could do this again, I don't think I could make it through another one of these. This was just soul crushing for Stan, and you can see it on his face of just how hard this was for him. And I don't know, guys, it was just, man, it's so impactful. Anyway, they make it back to the present time, which I love. They're like, oh man, what happened here? The town is basically all ramshackled and destroyed. And I love they show up to the sheriff's department and start to ask, like, Leon, are you here?
Yeah, it's like,
so remember when I told you to put Leon's death in your back pocket?
Put that pin there. Let's take that pin out.
Leon's dead in this timeline, right, guys?
Yeah, he's dead.
Like, I can only assume, right? Am I missing something?
No, they didn't go back in time.
Les, do you have thoughts on this?
Well, we are now in a world where the land of the dead is corrupting the land of the living.
Oh, okay. So even if he is dead, Leon could still be around.
He might not be gone off the show, but yes, currently Drinkwater is a headless corpse, I would think, in this timeline. Because, nobody popped back yet. Though, there's eyeballs laying around everywhere.
Well, man, what if they brought Nate Mooney back as a nearly headless Nick character? That would be great.
That'd be amazing.
Oh man, and he's...
So what, he said to carry which is handier, like Drinkwater with no head, that's just like a body that bumbles around, or Drinkwater's head spewing out Drinkwater?
I think his body's more useful because his head's useless.
Probably more useful.
He's like Nathan Fillion's head from Santa Clarita Diet.
Oh, that's
just hanging around,
just being a dick,
just in a flower vase for no reason. Oh man. So yeah, apparently they realize, like, oh shit, I never saw Claire destroy the final flower. Which, point of order, Claire, I know you had to do the whole final goodbye thing, and it was great, beautiful, and everything. Could you put the little footnote in of, hey, I missed one of the flowers? So maybe
go do that.
Go and take care of that. I don't mean to criticize Claire. I know you had a lot on your mind and you were doing a lot of stuff, but maybe you could have...
Well, she was trying to come save Stan, but yeah, she did kind of let the fifth flower, where the land of the living will be spilled in the land of the dead, and all will be corrupted and blah, blah, blah.
And it's interesting, too, because we did see that in like the very first new timeline. She did do the flower first and then went to go find Stan's dead body.
But that's how Stan ends up dead. Yeah, she finds Stan's dead body.
But this time, because he got to talk to her, Stan got to her. Stan got to her, you know, and
she checks her watch, and and like it didn't. I don't know how it didn't occur to me when she runs off to do that. That like, oh, you're leaving a thing undone. But like, it really did kind of smack me in the face when they both kind of realized it. Like, oh crap!
I think the scene was just so powerful of them saying goodbye. I kind of forgot about everything else. Yeah. Because watching it...
Usually that actually doesn't work for me. Like, usually shows are having, like, a powerful, sappy scene, and I'm sitting there
just thinking about, like, all the things that don't make sense about it.
Working. There's a shoe to drop, guys. Come on. And I really did. I fell for it. Fucking McGinley.
Yeah, I didn't...
That guy with his acting.
I didn't notice it until my second time watching, and I was like, oh, shit, yeah, they really telegraphed this. Yeah. I shouldn't really have forgotten about it.
Well, there's so much else going on. So
right. So, they are like, oh, shit, like, they see the paper, it is, what's it say? It says, hell on earth, is this the end? And like, oh man, we really fucked it up. Also, great meta-narrative of like, I'm wondering if they made this episode before they realized they were going to get a season 3.
Right.
Like, is this the end? And they go back like, okay, well, we'll just go back to the time travel cabin. We'll take care of this. And they go to the time travel cabin, and not only is it just totally destroyed, the pile of smoke has like Wizard of Oz style face in it. And suddenly Constable Eccles' voice comes out like, well, hello, Constable.
The cabin.
Hello, Constable.
This is not good.
Oh, shit.
And we just go out on that.
Scene.
So, wow. What a way to go out. Like, that's amazing.
That's pretty ballsy.
I mean, what a great possibilities it opens up for season 3 as well.
So we're moving into like Observer World, like Fringe season 5. Like, we're moving into just Crazy Town now. Like, Season 3 is the shit is at the fan. Everything the show is about preventing has now happened.
Yeah, so I have my own theories on this. I wrote about them in the article I wrote for That's My Entertainment about some of the expectations I had. I feel like this will probably be another 2-parter. They have to deal with this whole apocalypse thing, and then we'll probably go back to the episode of the week.
Well, it's basically either that or changing the whole format of the show.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to a format change. I really wouldn't. But also, I feel like the show is strongest doing its own thing, episode to episode. Yeah. And I feel like a mythology-heavy switch might be really jarring and might be put a lot of burden onto put a lot more burden onto the writers. You know,
I think they're going to think you're right. I think they'll 2-part Black Hat this.
Right.
And
does anyone have any theories of stuff that they would like to see in season 3 with this setup?
I feel like in that 2-part, they're going to pop back and fix Drinkwater at least. Even if I would love to see them go back to a Monster of the Week where that Monster of the Week is maybe a little bit Rick and Morty style. Like, you can't fully fix this. Your Monster of the Week is sweeping it up.
Uh-huh.
Like spend a 2-parter overall, capping this wound here, kind of staunching this, but then kind of have to tidy up kind of the apocalypse half happened in the world, and this is just where we are now.
Oh no, Rick, we opened up the portal to the underworld, the flowers they bloomed.
We closed it, but
what are we gonna do? I'll tell you what we're gonna do, Morty. We got to jump to another universe where we already died. That's just
basically but I could see them close the Hellmouth. But it was open for 2 days, and that created a whole mess. And spend season 3 having dealt with Eccles in the first 2, because I feel like this will be Eccles' last stand. Deal with Eccles in the first 2-parter, and then go to a Monster of the Week season of cleaning up the mess.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's the thing though, is that it hasn't been open for 2 days. This thing has been open for a year.
Right. As far as that goes, yeah, Boy, I mean, I know one of my running theories I want to see is Denise in the future world. I want to see her as, taking up the Claire mantle and Stan mantle since, they've been...
Interesting.
I want to see her as this pseudo Buffy.
Just the first, if we're doing a 2-part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then she'd go back to being Denise afterwards. But wouldn't it be hilarious to see...
Furiosa Denise?
Yes, Mad Max Denise.
Yes.
Mad Denise.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to say when we were talking about the Denise-Gracie duo at the start of this. I didn't want to spoil it yet with where the episode ended, but what I would really love to see is Furiosa Denise with Gracie, as a Road Warrior, Mad Max type pair, where they run into this kid and Denise and or this big Hulk, thug in a cloak, and it turns out the thug in a cloak is Denise.
Yeah.
And the child's Gracie, come on, come with me if you want to live.
Come on, we live, we die, we live again. Oh, man.
Or Denise and Gracie, and one of them's holding Drinkwater's head, which still gives them
sage advice,
running commentary.
I mean, imagine Denise saying lines
I'd watch a cartoon of this.
Imagine Denise just quoting Mad Max lines the whole time, just in this leather outfit. So I saw a rig that could 2 days ago that could haul that tanker.
Exactly.
You want to get out of here? You talk to me.
She had some kind of psychotic break, and now she just talks in Mad Max lines because she thinks it'll help her survive.
That's really depressing, though, because I could see that happen to Denise, just having a psychotic break.
Also, if I know we have not done a body switch episode yet, and I would like to see what other people's impressions of Denise are. I would like to see Denise in either Evie's body, and to see how that works out, and vice versa. I think that would be hilarious. Or maybe
Freaky Friday it, and have Evie end up in Gracie's body.
Oh.
And Evie's entire experience of it being, oh my god, I'm not involved in the show at all. I can't help anyone or fix this.
Or even better, I realized that actually Gracie knows exactly what's going on because she's not dumb and has been around the entire time.
Yeah, okay. Man, there's a lot of good avenues they can take here, guys. But yeah, overall, what a great season finale for season 2, in my opinion.
Yeah,
just fantastic overall. The emotions they bring are just surprisingly poignant, to a point where I scarcely believe they pulled it off. And I'm just rip roaring excited for season 3. I'm really looking forward to it.
If they keep like upping these like cliffhangers at the end of each season, we're gonna like run out of like tension.
Well, they always said that it's a limited series show, that they aren't going to go past 172 witches, I think. So, I mean, maybe they'll have to start to burn off two witches a episode or something. But they said that it was a finite plan that they had.
Burn off witches.
As far as the episode goes, guys, did anyone have any last minute thoughts?
Really fucking good episode.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah, was just really impressed with the choices they made and where it left the series, and kind of the more I thought about the ramifications afterwards, the more excited I got for season 3. I'm really glad they got picked up.
Great. We look forward to it too. We should mention, now that we're wrapping up here, we are going to be going into a little bit of a, not hiatus, but we're going to be throwing out some other content while we wait for season 3, because we don't want to keep you guys, we want to throw up some stuff so that we're still up and running before season 3 kicks. So I have interviews planned with some of the participants and actors and crewmen of Stand Against Evil. So we will hopefully be talking with some of them soon. I won't say who yet because nothing's quite confirmed, but we have some exciting possibilities to talk to. And we will have a couple other people that we've introduced to Stand Against Evil come on the show and just explain their love in general. We'll have just a group discussion of it. And so just so you know, guys, we're not going away fully until Halloween. We'll be around. Yeah. We'll be around recording some stuff. I'll also be writing for That's My Entertainment for all the Stand Against Evil news that comes out. So if you want to hear my thought or read my thoughts on Stand Against Evil or predictions or stuff like that, you can always check out That's My Entertainment. I'm also doing some interviews for them now. I'm going to be doing my first interview tomorrow, so that should be up by the time this posts, I think. No, it won't be up by then. Mm-hmm. It'll probably be up a little bit later. Otherwise, you can always help out the show by subscribing to us on iTunes or following us on Twitter at UGOPod. Or no, that's the other one, at Pod Against Evil on Twitter. There it is. And then you can follow us on our Facebook page. While you're on iTunes, also, if you could give us one of those 5-star reviews, it really helps us out with visibility and helps get the show around, helps us beat that algorithm that we're always trying to fight. And, if you want to find us personally, Travis is a hermit. Mm-hmm. You cannot find him. Yep. He's made it specifically that way.
In fact, I'm actually here right now recording with you. You don't know this, but I'm a hologram.
Wow, he's force projecting through, you are talented, sir. But if you want to find him through me, you can find me at Nick Tice on Twitter. That's NickThyes on Twitter, or all the other affiliates I record with. I do so much stuff now. For the UGO podcast, Netflix and Kill, the UGO affiliate, and I do some stuff for oneofus.net as well. Les, thank you so much for recording us. Please tell the people where they can find you and some of your great content.
Yep, I am Les Weiler. I think I'm at Les Weiler. It's Weiler on Twitter. Good luck with that. Then I'm also on the TV Dudes semi-weekly. And that's thetvdudes.com. I also run The Good Die Young, thegoodDieYoungTV.com, which Nick is nice enough to be suckered into helping with on season 2, which is about to come out here in a couple of months.
Yay!
And I am also doing interviews and whatnot for that'smye.com, or That's My Entertainment. I don't think anything I've done is posted yet, but should be there in the future.
And you should definitely check that out, because he also does interviews for That's the TV Dudes, and they are some great interviews. He's got a real talent for it. And you should definitely check out the season 2 of The Good Die Young, because I don't want to have done this for nothing, for sure. It's man, you have not seen what I've seen. You just don't know. You just don't know.
I heard portions of your review, and I'm very confused.
Look, Travis just gets to hear my crazy ranting and ravings out of context.
About cinnamon, I don't know.
Oh, it hasn't even got weird yet, man.
What is it? Oh, but yeah. Other than that, thank you guys so much for listening. Before we get out of here, of course, if you want to share some more of your love for Stand Against Evil, check out the Stand Against Evil fan club on Twitter at Stand Against Evil Fans. or you can just check out them on Facebook. They do trivia and just, share Stan Against Evil news and, just hang out and be awesome like Stan fans are. Other than that, thank you so much, and may the owls abide. See you later, Stan fans.